Okay, let's start this training session. It's what we are trying to do here is initiating a new project. Rather than I go into the details specifically, what I would like to do here is first to give a preamble kind of thing. So what we are trying to understand here that this will be the first meeting or the first training session where we are only engaging the finance team here, because they are the one who need to implement this project. And going forward, there will be multiple meetings in the next 1 month where we're trying to engage the other departments, other business units into this project. So this is the beginning of a massive project that will, what I believe that it will change the whole profile of the finance department. This is what we are doing here is to implement industry best practice. Our headquarters have already implemented that, okay? But somehow we are late on the implementation, but we are doing it now. So now let's go to talk about what is this. When we talk about the finance business partnership, the concept actually is not new. It's not really old also. The concept has been evolved over a period of a few years, not much. Before that it was not really being projected or being implemented in the finance departments with the same spirit as it is now being seen. What is happening in the last few years that the finance team has basically moved away from their conventional data processing role. Okay, so data processing is like doing the accounting, basically doing the analysis, and we are moving towards assisting the management and the business units and the operational sections of the company, and for their decision makings, we're providing them the constructive risk assessment and so on. So what we're trying to do here is to first thing is to see what is happening here. What I'm telling is that the role is changing. So role is that used to be like a conventional data processor or analyst is going or fading away, or at least is isolating into certain section, but the whole finance department's outlook is pretty much assisting the management in the decision making. The constructive risk assessment, the full contribution, what we are doing is that this is basically extending the role and infusing this in a greater rigor into the company. So it does definitely require different set of skills from those traditionally employed in finance department, but yeah, these are the challenges that we usually face in implementation. But rather than just going for the straight and to talk about how do we implement, let's first understand the concept in a bit greater and more detailed manner. So what we are trying to say here is that primarily it is supporting the CEOs. When I say it's not only CEOs but all the business units who are the leaders in a strategic planning process. That is the ultimate result. So the concept, what we say is a new concept, is not really very new, like it's happening today. No, it is being done, but when we say new concept, it means it is there for a short period of time, few years. This has been evolved. It's the partnership concept is basically what it says, that the finance acts as a more of a value-added partner, doing a value-added function, you can say, not partner. And this, rather than just doing the accounting analysis, transaction processing, producing reports periodically, the finance department is supposed to do is, once it is effectively in place, implemented and established, then they should do, they did not only do the accounting and regulation, but also do the running the business basically. They become an underlying factor of how to run the business. They have to see And the fact is that the finance team is well established, well trained, and very well in place to see the both sides of the business. The accounting side, the finance side, and the business side. So they need to be trained on the business side. Once they are doing it, then they will be doing it. So what is the punchline here is that the business partnership concept evolved from the efficient finance team. So when we're talking about efficient finance team, we're talking about not just the data processor, but they should be providing proactive and insightful information that is necessary and that is that helps and helping management for their effective decision making. That's the whole bottom line of that. So what we are looking at, that the senior finance management can only be justified by providing expertise in solving business problems, not just data processing, not just sending the reports periodically, daily, weekly, monthly. No, we need to have create an expertise in solving business problems. Otherwise, the whole accounting function can be outsourced easily. There has a huge emergence for the last decade or so, where there are outsourced partners sitting there everywhere. You go India, you go South America, you go anywhere, and you see there are companies and companies who are just doing outsourcing service. Accounting, you outsource accounting, they do accounting for you. No problem for them, they are paid. And they are cheaper than having our own department, frankly speaking. But what they are missing is insight of a company, because they are sitting outside, they have no idea about the business. You send them doc in the process. But what they are missing is the problem solving. They are missing is improving the quality of decision making. What they cannot do is to ensuring that the chosen business objective delivers the highest financial value at an acceptable level of risk. This they cannot provide. We can do it. The finance team is sitting here, we can do it. So what we need to do is to change ourselves to providing a valuable partner. What challenges do we have in this whole thing? Different skills versus traditional finance team. So the finance team has a kind of expertise that we develop over a period of time. We all go to the schools, we learn accounting, how to do it, we get experience. Throughout the period of our experience, all we're doing is accounting and reporting, and to a certain extent analysis. We need to change that one. If we need to really come into the expectation of the finance business partnership, we need to further develop our skills. We need to, and definitely the skills are not easy. It's difficult to find and difficult to develop. So the find means if we need to find from the people outside, they are not really available everywhere. So we need to really find the right person who have the two sides of the story. And if we need to develop our own team, then we need to provide them development and training in the right way. See, what if it is implemented, and which we will be going to do it, implement. Then the implementation is without right strategy, it can be hugely time consuming. So that is a big challenge. Not only the skills is a big challenge, not only the mindset changing is a big challenge, but if it is not put into the place properly, effectively, strategically, then it is hell of a time consuming job. And generally, and what I have found is in the many companies, they fail to fulfill their intended role. So it is very important for us to address the challenges and go in a right direction. How we want to do it. Okay. Why do we need it? Now there's a question comes. I know you all are thinking in back in your mind, okay, fine, a new concept we understand, but why do we need in this company? Do we need in this company? Do we need are we not doing this already? So let's try to talk about that. There are 5 bullet points that I'm putting in. I'm trying to summarize majority of the expectation within these. Value-added function. When we talk about the value-added function is who? That's a heavy one. rather than just doing the accounting analysis, traditional processing and producing reports periodically. This is what generally happening, right? This is what generally happening. We do accounting, we do analysis, and we do reporting. But is the management or the leadership or the CEOs or the business units find this function as a value-added function? Because mostly these analysis being done after the work has been done on the ground. So the booking, so the sales happen already. Now you come with the analysis. Oh, this not happened properly. Your customer is not doing it. So these are the information, fine. But is the information helping me on my day-to-day business, or it is the information usually provided after the business happened? Mostly the second one. Then bridging the finance and business gap. There is always a gap. We all know that there is a gap. Expectation gap, the approach gap. So understanding finance and regulation is what we do mostly. Majority of us. We understand accounting. We know accounting. We know what is the regulation and how to do this. We know policy procedure standards very well and we follow them. But do we also know the underlying facts of the running a business? Probably not. Not to the extent that we should be doing. And that is one of the fundamental expectations that generally are associated with this new role. We need to know how to run the business, not only just the accounting, not only just the policy procedures. Then we are expected to become an advisor to those who don't know finance. So how many people know finance? Hardly. Effectively become an internal consultant. That is our goal should be. So when we talk about a consultant, we just had a meeting with the internal auditor and then we keep on punching on that and say, look, if you are internal auditor, you need to be dissociate from yourself from the external audit role. So if you are keep thinking about checking, going, finding, then the people will overreact to the same way as they are reacting to the external. So the external auditor come, they do the checking and whatever they find they report, right? If internal audit doing the same thing, they doing an extended role of the external auditor. So they are still the auditor. And people other than finance, because only finance probably the one, or the legal the one, or the corporate people, they know what is finance, what is the audit, difference between internal and external. But the sales knows, the help desk knows, they don't know. They know auditor as an auditor. So they come for investigating and that's it, end of story. They will report. So they hide as much as possible. They don't tell whatever not been asked. So if to certain extent same attitude applies towards finance. They see if we tell them, they will report. Because we reporting. We do internal reporting a lot. So if we gain their confidence, then we act like an internal the consultant. For consultant, you mean they have the confidence on us that yes, these people are helping me doing my business, and that's how we need to evolve our role into the new concept. Solving business problems.
Go ahead.
Okay, so now we finished. What do we mean by the business partnership? Now let's see that what is the expectation. So the business units that are not finance business units, they require business partners for certain reason. There is a concept, if we properly implement that one, advertise that, then they will have certain expectation. What are the expectations? There are four major, I can summarize all expectation into four major bullets. That is centralized information system, business support, and creativity, performance measure, and the process improvement. Now let's talk about generally in detail about one by one on all these elements. But the fact is that the demands of business have changed, and it requires from finance team to proactive role with delivering quality management information. So when we do the quality management information, standardizing and simplifying the process without losing control, that's what we were expecting. So it's combining the two. At the moment, what we are doing accounting, reporting, and standardize, and playing as a gatekeeper of the governance, right? Now combine the two roles, understanding the business, helping them, and without losing the controls. So when we do that, we need to ensure that we have the skills to do it. We have the right supports from the business decision making. Now let's talk about one by one on these four elements. Centralized information system. What is actually we are talking about when we say centralized information? Okay, we know that generally companies have low satisfaction level with the quality of management information. The reporting that we do, generally you see what you see. What we see in a day-to-day business, whenever we produce a report, the management goes and start talking to the sales team and say, oh, they're cross-checking the numbers, whether it's matching or not. If that is the situation, then it means they have a very low trust on our information system. So the report we provide, they always go and cross-check with something. That is a problem. It means the satisfaction level is not because they are challenging our capability or skills, but they have a low trust on the information system. They know there are two different information systems or multiple set of data management is happening. Somebody managing their own data, we managing their own data, there is some centralized data also. So when anybody who's producing reports from those different data, they can or may not match each other. So unless we have a centralized information system, this problem will continue persisting and damaging the trust level. So one of the major role of the finance business partnership is to bringing all the information and the data management under one central control, under one team that may address the proper flow of information within an organization. So you have a centralized information and a system data management and the one team which is managing the whole issue, rather than everybody running their own shops. So the gathering financial data from finance and non-finance and from any other units that they have and centrally consolidating information, this combined with the standardized process, okay, will produce better access of the management on the information system. So this is what the summary of all these. What else we have here? If you see in the bottom, you say combination of financial and non-financial information processed by finance business partner should lead the decision making being taken with all the relevant information. So you see the importance of the centralized information system, because the management uses this information for decision making. If there are different information coming from different sources not matching each other, they invest a lot of time in verifying, validating the data. Okay, and B, whenever they do that, they still keep on wondering who's the right person to provide the right analysis, because everybody has a different set of data. So centralized information system is one of the major expectations from the business partnership. The other thing is performance measurement. So organizations should have a simple way of measuring a performance, because not everybody in the leadership team is savvy with the accounting and analysis and the number crunchings. Okay, so we can provide them tons of information, analysis, but is every one of them understand those information? Maybe not. Maybe some of them. So the CEO who has some kind of a financial background, he understands very well. But do you expect this to operation team to understand also? The developers need to understand also the same level. Maybe it's too much to ask them for understanding the whole analysis at the same. So the simple way of measuring the performance is one of the key expectations from what we're talking about performance management, measurement. Then transparency and commercial acumen that add language to the numbers. Just the numbers is actually, when we provide the numbers, we leave management to come up with their own interpretation. And believe me, everybody interprets the way they want to interpret. And then mostly people interpret which suits them, the way it suits them. So we put our own language on that. And that language primarily driven from the transparency and the commercial acumen. The objective is the transparency, and the language itself is driven from the commercial acumen. So unless we have the commercial sense, we will always come up with the same number game. Interpretation, variance by so and so. What does it mean? So that's why. We can also map the performance measures with the business objectives and strategic goals. And this only somebody can do who are independent from these old performance measurements. I'm not talking about becoming a police or somebody who validates the performance, but it's like you map them. So it is everybody measure their own performance, but we just help them. How do they measure the performance? And it requires very talented, of course this requires talent and technical skills, finance professional, those who has the business sense and just not the numbers. So for performance management, also translate the data with the help of non-financial information, and we know that the non-financial information only comes when we have the trust level developed. The partnership itself, when we take into true concept, that people opens up. Like I give you an example of the auditors. If they keep on going as an auditor, people refusing them to give information more than what they are being asked. So if we have the confidence, trust level developed, then the non-financial information can come from the source directly. This can happen. Now we talk about the process improvement. The third element in the chart was the process improvement. What is process improvement? It's standardization, simplifying the process, consolidation, and the automation. So what does that mean? It means that when the business getting more complex and challenging, the standardized and simpler process free up valuable time of the management to do more tasks and add more value to the business. So what happened, the more complexity in the standard, in the processes, and the more time consuming it becomes. Why we go for automation of the process, so that nobody is sitting on the papers. And so let the system do the standard jobs that doesn't require human brain. Okay, so it's a matter of moving papers from one table to another to take the signatures. Let the system do it, rather than somebody involved into that. That free up time. The time is an essence here. Is a treasure. Is a wealth. And we cannot just waste on the manual processes, on some kind of a process that is stopping on every table. So that has to be simplified, standardized and simplified. Then consolidate the repetitive tasks into a central function. It also creates more time within the system. So this is not only manual, this is also within the system. Sometimes you do not require more people to approve the simple thing. I'm just giving example what we all understand, because accounting, this is what we do accounting. When we do the accounting, we know the document process is somebody has to approve it. Sometimes there is more people approving the same thing, which can be avoided easily. So simple thing apply when we talk about the finance and business partnership. The partnership, once it is created, it is expected to free up more time of the management and free up more time of the finance also. So this is one of the core expectation to improve the system. Then automatic process reduce, and we know the level of operation risk. It just reduces because the system is very efficient controlling it. It prevents oversight, prevents somebody getting tired, somebody has to go early to the home. It just manages itself. It runs, and it makes sure that the people also they follow the same process, standard process automatically. So this is what the process improvement. The next item, what I say, the business support and creativity. What does that mean? It means that when the senior management expects greater support, okay, and creativity, the finance team, they expect finance team to manage their financial matters and address the business issues. This is how they look finance as a value-added partner. So their understanding of the support and creativity from finance is not really analysis, is not really reporting, is not really in managing the controls. Their expectation is to manage financial matters and addressing the business issues. This is what their expectation from finance. This is what they're thinking of what finance can add value rather than just analysis. Okay. At the same time, finance business partners supposed to be trained to find out business options, to foresee the challenges, and to design risk that is, designing the risk mitigating processes. Risk mitigation is a very challenging word. I mean, it comes from the fact that we all know that the risk, you cannot list down all of them at any given point, not even 100-year time, because the time changes also, and then create more. Human mind is a very unique thing. You cannot map that 100% what risk associated with that, impossible. Then the other thing is, even if you map that, there is no guarantee new challenges will not come. So the risk is ever growing thing. So what we do, we say we cannot eliminate risk from any operation, but we can have the controls, we can have the processes that reduces the risk, mitigating the risk, means make it to the level that is acceptable. So in organization, for example, frauds happen. Of course happen. No matter how good your control systems are, fraud happen because the system being created by the people. The fraud is also being done by the people, not the animals. So one brain creates system, the other brain know how to fix it. So they actually come up and override that. So you cannot just have it. But what we can do, the system, efficient system, detect it very early stage. So it prevents continuous losses. The other thing is, they know once they catch it how to take it back. You know? So the systems are actually, efficient system reduces the risk. Not everybody can do it. Somebody really has to come up with a brainy idea to do the fraud. I'm just giving an example, how do we say we mitigate the risk, but in the business sense, something happening in the market, if your processes are good, we are running our systems, that is, and system procedures and analysis, and we have the oversight and insight of the business, and we keep on monitoring the economic watch and what's happening around us. There is a possibility that we can see very well in advance what's coming. So oil prices going down, hardly anybody could see this, but those people who keep on watching for the past 5 years, and I read many articles that people are reading that the way Europe and the rest of the world is working to find the alternative solutions of the energy, alternative source of energy. There is a possibility that they will be reducing their dependence on the oil. It's keep on going. 5 years I'm reading these articles, one by one. Some people say it's bullshit, it's happening, not happening, it never happened. We see throughout our lives that it never happened. Or if it happened, it will happen, dip and then come back. Look what happened. Okay, come over and resolve the situation. For all those who couldn't see this happening, they are in a situation where they cannot do anything now. Or even if they do it, they will be losing a lot before something can be fixed. So this is kind of a thing. So in the business, this is very important to keep on looking at the future and trying to analyze our situation regularly and thoroughly. So one more thing that business unit heads require is they themselves need to know the analytical techniques to available in tackling the issues and the best way to deploy them. So business partner actually help them understanding the whole thing, the analysis, the analytical abilities. We don't teach them, but we help them understanding what is this going on. So at the end I can say that look, finance business partnering is shifting the focus. It's shifting the focus of finance team. If shifting the focus, how do we work so far? And it's shifting the work towards addressing the corporate requirements of the CEOs, requirement of the business leaders, and their requirements towards the finance division. So the finance should be seen as a valued partner in the delivery of the common objectives. Because no matter which department we work or which department the other business units work, at the end, it's all one common objective, which is the progress of the company itself. Okay, so the company has one budget overall, one profitability goal, one sales goal, and we all work towards it. And the organization equipped with successful business partner will be able to deliver better decisions. This is what we think, and this is what we need to ultimately implement. Okay? Let's see, before we go for the implementations, we talk a little bit about what is my current role. I mean, the finance current role. So what finance current role is? This is the traditional finance team. So the traditional finance team, what they do is what we have, or okay, not rather than what we do, but they say what we have been seen from outside of our function, by the other business unit. They see that we are more of a reactive. So like in the beginning I say, the thing happened, sales happened, now we come with analysis. So we are reactive rather than proactive approach. So we don't tell from the beginning what risks are coming. We tell after that, now the risk happened. You see, this is the magnitude of the risk that we have come across. So we are, they are looking us as a reporting center. So we report everything. We report the sales, we report the cost, we report the profitability, we report this, that. We keep on reporting. Our reports keep on flying everywhere. And our focus is, as far as they look, the team outside, is that we are operational processors. So we just process things. Payment process, bills process, everything process in the system. So we are not being considered as forward-thinking or visionaries. We are just being looked as a reactive approach. So what happened then? The attitude of the traditional finance people is so strong that the effective finance business partnership cannot be achieved by simply, and I tell again, by simply I need to fix it. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So it cannot be achieved just by simply appointing accountants to the business partner role. So today somebody is an accountant, tomorrow I start calling him business partner. That is not going to happen. Just by changing the role on the name of it, this is not what will change the whole mentality of the finance as well as the people from outside finance. So there is what is happening here. If you see here, the bottom line is a more important line in this whole conversation. It says successful implementation requires a change in the mindset change. And mindset change doesn't happen in a day or two. It requires a lot of training, development, coaching, and advertising our own self. So what's happening now? Let's talk about, if we understand so far that what is being expected from us, what is the concept from the finance, why it is needed in our organization, and what major challenges we have in this whole thing. So if we understand, now let's stop here and then see if anybody has an issue in understanding the whole issue, whole concept. Do you feel challenging anything? Or trying to understand that is not really making sense? If not, then we move forward. So the next, you say something?
No.
Okay, good.
One message came through.
This is Hassan's message.
I will bring the charger. You just continue.
Okay. So once we understand, so like I say, once we understand the concept and the need and the requirement and expectations and the challenges, let's talk about how do we approach to implement this whole thing. Believe me, implementation is not easy job. This is the most difficult part of it. And it requires a lot of issues. So what I'm doing here, what I'm trying to do here is to initially combining all those challenges that we see in implementation into bullet points, and then we talk about each bullet separately in detail. So defining the role, 4 more, and the most important thing is define the role first. Let me know what is the role is doing, not only me but the other people also outside of the finance department. When I say finance business partnership, what does it mean? Clear definition of the whole thing, without ambiguity and without letting anybody has a confusion on that. Then strong networking that will mitigate the chaos. When we say strong networking means our aim is before we go and implement this whole thing, we need to other people to know about that. Like I said, definition is very important. So defining the role is important. Then meeting people, creating a network with the people to understand this whole thing. Then finding the skills. Okay, now what do? We have defined the role. We talk about the networking, we develop certain networking. Now we're talking about the finding the skills and training and development. When you find the skill, you have to train and develop. Then performance measure and outcome. These are the major items that majority of the implementation challenges can be consolidated into the 5 major headlines. Let's talk in detail about one by one. But before we go and talking about in detail, sorry, let me say something that it is really recommended, highly recommended, to properly advertise the finance and business partnership role. Okay, advertise means telling others, engaging them into the whole concept. Like we're talking about here, that was in the beginning I said this is the first meeting, where we first engaging our own team. First we need to understand ourselves, and then we will take it out. The next meeting will be happening with the other teams. So I will have a series of meetings, this kind of a training, with different department heads. We'll combine them by function, like customer service into one, and commercial into one, and take the leadership into one, and trying to advertise, trying to tell them what does this mean. So before we set a date of implementing this or go next step of resource and planning and then training, at least everybody's mind is clear about the role. No false expectation. No expectation like they're thinking that we are creating something, a football, and they're expecting a rugby ball. That's not really that's not really what we want to end up with. And then another thing is that the non-finance function of the organization, okay, they should first buy in the idea of this partnership. And unless they recognize the need, value, and support they will be getting from this role, any attempt, I'd say again, any attempt to implement the role will not be having a needed support within the organization itself. Okay, so they need to buy in the idea. They need to recognize and understand and support. If the support is happening, is not support, half-hearted attempt will not work. So we cannot just go and offer our services if somebody is not willing to take the service. You cannot just push on them. They need to be on the receiving side. And another thing is that the business should start looking finance as an additional valuable support that they are currently missing completely. So they should understand that they should know that we bringing certain things on the table that is not happening at the moment. Otherwise they will see it just a change in the name. It's not in the change in the name. It's happening something else. We are producing or we are bringing on the table a new service, a new support that they probably not getting. Even if they are getting, that is in bits and pieces. They are scattered. It's not coming from the one source, main source, which is finance business partnership. One more element that I would like to say before going to the next slide is that the major element the management should know is that the new role is most likely to be successful if they are free from the demands of routine core finance activity. Okay, so when the finance business partners come in, they are doing a different job. They should not be expected to continue what they are doing, and on top of that do the new things also. So this combination of the old and new job create a chaos, both sides, the expectation and the delivery, also becoming a kind of a mixed plate, which is not addressing really or not really focusing on the expected results. So if that happen, I mean the management continue thinking about what we are doing, we will continue to do, and then do on top of that the new initiatives and all these, that will either fail, that will result in a partnership either fail completely or not being able to deliver the desired result. This two-tier system evolves within the finance, also create a mess. We will talk about that as we go forward from here. So let's go and talk about okay, these are the fundamentals. These are the major fundamentals of the implementation. There are 13 of them I could identify and consolidate into. Let's talk about one by one. So in the first shape, because it is not line of page, so you say 7 here and then 6 on the next page. So advertising the role, let's talk one by one. Like we say, we just talk about that. We need to tell the people what is this role. Advertise right from the beginning. Clear up mind, clear up expectation. Tell them what is this coming. Non-finance function should buy in the idea. Must. They need to see us as coming as bringing a new value into this. This is we are doing for them, not forcing on them, not imposing something on them. They need to be on the receiving. They are receiving side. They need to understand what is coming for them. And not only the buying idea, but the business itself should understand the additional value and support they may be getting. Okay, routine core finance activity. That is also important to understand. This new role is most likely to be successful if the finance business partners are free from the demands. Okay, free from the demand, free from the from the routine demands. Two-tier system. Now we talk about the two-tier system. Like I just wanted to talk about that. Just a second. Sorry, I have to work on my notes. Okay, what is the two-tier system means? When we create another function within the department, it doesn't mean that the previous function of the routine accounting job will be eliminated. Of course not. Somebody has to do the data processing. Somebody still has to do the bills processing. The payment is still happening. The analysis is still happening. Contract is still being signed. Okay. So what happening? One regular function continue happening, and then you're creating a finance business partnership. They both report to the finance head. These are the two-tier system. This is what is happening. Sometimes this new role is being perceived as a more high, or we can say highly valuable than the rest of the finance team. That's a conflict. This happens. So those who are doing still the accounting job, and they see the finance role as a more valuable, because this is being advertised and sold to the management as a value-added function. But the accounting is not value-added function. Is that not the case? That is not the case, actually. They are still doing the value-added function. With the finance business partner, what we're trying to do is to bridge the gap of expectation. So if the senior management looking finance function as a, like I say, reactive, we're trying to bring a function that is proactive also. So the combination of the two is creating a value for the organization. Okay, not any one of them is less or higher than the other. Without accounting, the company stops next day. Without you making the payment, the whole business collapses. Drain. So it's not, sometimes it is not properly implemented or trained or advertised or taken into the next step. Sometimes these two tiers erupt in the finance department, or develop at least. And that is a disaster, basically. This is a major challenge in the implementation, or I can call it a fundamental implementation, because this has to be taken care of when we're doing the implementation. Then you see internal communication. That is also a problem. Good internal communication about the structure and the value of different roles is vital. A strong working relationship between the core finance team, which is the existing finance team, and the finance business partnership develops. That is only happening with the internal communication. The skills and other challenges. There are a lot of challenges. Like I said before, implementing this role is not easy. A skill shortage is a major issue, but at the same time, operation also face specific organizational, culture and leadership challenges. So when we implement this, we will take care of these core issues as well. So we need to understand, not if, for example, if XYZ company has implemented, the way implemented is not maybe suitable for us to implement. So we need to, when we are implementing this, we need to take care of our own culture, of our people, our leadership issues. The mindset is already existing. 6 more to go. Routine, transactional work. What is that meaning that? It is meaning the work that is still taking up valuable time that could otherwise be spent on more valuable added partnering. So if I say we still gathering the number, we still, be involved in the number crunching activities, then we are eating up most of our valuable time into the same activity that we are doing currently. So we need to free it. How? That we need to find out. So probably, like I say, better systems, better standardization of the processes, free up the time. So those jobs, like we used to do the daily sales reporting manually, downloading the data, putting on the Excel and doing and sending it by attaching an email. Once we automate this, it free up the time. If system is capable of sending the report automatically, that saves you at least half an hour every day, right? So this is how we need to get out of our routine job. If we get out of more routine job is not what we are expecting. Nobody expect. Nobody give any value to the routine job. Okay, because over a period of time they understand this is common, this is normal practice. It has to come. This is your job. So we put that thing on the machine. Let the system do it. And then we free up our time and come up with a more proactiveness, creative work. Internal resistance. Okay, that is another issue. Internal resistance happens. Sometimes it is related to the inadequate technology, or sometimes it is like constant consuming, like a firefighting situation. So if the role is not positioned properly, then the business, then it is very difficult to sell the value of the business partner. So we need to have position the whole thing, the whole new role properly means different business unit require different services. It's not like we make certain product with fit all. That probably not going to happen. So that's why we need to structure this whole role in such a way that it has a different approach to the different business units. Okay? Poor definition also, like we talk about that poor definition, that the poor role and misskill definition can result in confusion. Simple as that. So we need to have a proper definition of this. A step-by-step approach doesn't happen. It doesn't work. Then we say, okay, in the first step we will do this, first step we will do that. That I have seen in organization they fail. Because the reason is, what is step-by-step? So step-by-step, like if you are implementing a system like SAP.
Phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1.
How can you can implement system phase 1, phase 2 only like you do not add subsidiaries into that. That's the only thing you can do. But you cannot say that I will half implement the system and half implement later. That's a disaster recipe basically. You have to have a whole thing set up and implement it at once. Okay? The more you make the phases, the more disaster is approaching towards you. So the system implementation generally happens here. We can talk about upgrading later, that's fine. Upgradation is okay. So if you are lacking the resource, for example, we can say, okay, we start servicing the commercial team now. I made the structure, service commercial team, the service departments, the functional departments, the administrative department areas. So we say, okay, we establish the function for serving all 4 areas of the business. But because I'm lacking the whole thing, I implement everything, but the moment I get one person, this function starts from there. The moment I get second person, it starts from there. But you cannot say step by step implementation. phases can only be set up with a careful understanding of the upgradation rather than the implementation itself take these steps. Okay, so Asim knows that when he is implementing ATS system has to be implemented all at once.
Yeah.
You cannot say that, okay, I will add one country. You can say that one country, two country, three country, but system cannot say that I will have this limited functionality and I go next step add more functionality. Disaster. You need to have all the functionality or majority of the functionality that is needed for the system to run effectively and efficiently should be there. Add-on modules can also come anytime. That is a modernization,
No, but now.
but not the core function.
After that, okay, after implementing, you discover some weaknesses that you can solve it later as well, or immediately.
That's fine. I mean, that happens everywhere. Look, unless no system can guarantee 100% accuracy.
Yeah.
This is the fixing of a problem that always happens. No matter what you implement, there will be something that you learn from your implementation experience, and then you fix it. And that has nothing to do with the implementation. Implementation means you design the whole package and implement at once. No matter what you do, there will be bottlenecks. That's for sure, 100%.
So the design will be from your side or both the partner?
I think we will, let's keep on absorbing the idea. I mean, this will be the third or fourth training session that we will do when we talk about actual implementation process. Right now we are selling the idea. Right now this is a part of internal communication. We say, first time you hear about that in our organization, okay, what is this? So we are taking this as a conceptual framework, gathering ideas, understanding the whole concept, and at the same time understanding the challenges that will come. Okay? Challenges in implementation and before even implementation. So this is what our scope at the moment is. So like I say, no matter how good we are in implementing, there will be certain bottlenecks. That is basically that the whole thing is heavily dependent upon the organization's internal complexities, the requirements, and to a certain extent the leadership's own quality play a major role and play poses as a major challenge also in the implementation. So now let's talk about, so far we are good, we understand the whole thing. I mean, we broadly define what are the fundamentals in implementation. Now we talk about in detail the 5 core challenges that we talked in the beginning. Okay, so we talk about, because I give a glimpse of challenges, then I stop and say, let's talk about the fundamentals so that we can talk in detail about the challenges. So it's important to understand the fundamentals of implementation. Now we're talking in detail about the challenges. So the defining the role, the primary and more crucial element. What does that mean? It means that this is clear identification of the activities to be performed. This is what it means, basically. It also says that the decisions that a finance partner is expected to support and the alignment with the existing team, management team must be well defined properly in detail. So it just telling that finance starts supporting the business and leaving them to figure out how do they support, it create a chaos more than of adding any value into the business. So this will be a very important part when we start doing this process. Then we will spend quite a good time in defining the roles within ourselves and selling it to the outside as a internal communication part of the communication. The next major challenge is called networking. What happening here? The networking actually reduces the risk of failure and chaos. So one thing is that we define properly. Now once we define it properly, then we start to talk to the other department function, providing the functional leadership, identify the core issues, common issues, develop solution, identify and share the best practice with them. So they need to understand the value that is coming for them. And in the absence of the proper and formal alignment will probably lead let me rephrase it. If it is not properly and formally aligned, what organization can do is that it can easily become finance business partner, can easily become isolated from the rest of the finance function itself. Okay, so it is not really only to create a networking from outside department, but within ourselves. Because like I said before, there is a core team of the finance that is working also. Then you create another function. And then function sometimes become automatically isolated. Finance doesn't recognize them as a finance. Business doesn't recognize them as a business. So they hang in between the two. Nobody owns them. The most valuable partner become a hanging partner in between. Okay, so this is very important that we properly proper network is created. People understand the issues surrounding them, their value, and what is their function. It is important. Then they also work with sometimes they work in a fragmented approach to the government business units. So what happens? Issues come, but if there is no networking, then we end up having the same situation. Then the analysts they're doing analysis, but the business is not owning them. I mean, they look at them, okay, they don't understand the business. So how many times it happened when the deal review is happening, the contract review happening, the business general approach is the finance team, they don't understand the business. So they understand the legal only, they understand the system and processes only, they go with the book. So this, if networking properly not happen, this approach continue. That eventually result in duplication and inadequate knowledge sharing, and the business partner could encourage to meet informally to share the ideas. You know, informal, they don't trust each other. So they say, come to me, we'll talk about that, not in the meeting room. So they know that they have a lot of analysis gathering abilities, but they don't trust to tell them in front of anybody, or they don't want them to tell in front of everybody, because the partnership has not been created. Networking is leading towards the partnership. So networking is also important, as the needs are not similar from person to person. So like I say in the middle of somewhere, that every department has a different mindset, different ability and capability. So when we create this bond, this has to be taken care of the personality perspective as well. Okay? Which generally doesn't happen. And that is creating a mess out of this whole thing. So some business functions or business function heads will know precisely what the numbers mean. Okay? And they quickly understand the inside whatever is being provided to them. But the others, probably not. Not everybody understands. Not everybody is the number savvy. So this begins to define the type of support they will need from their finance business partners. Okay, the challenge will be less complicated if instead of trying to create a perfect finance business partner, It more better to create a perfect finance business team, okay, and with a better collaboration. So in other words, like if you say if the word partner doesn't appeal very well, then create a team of which works in a common goal. So the finance and function team. Okay, the approach should be to create a teamwork rather than another department being created to help them. Okay, I think we have this example, like one of our finance function, when we give it to them, the sales team, now they are more comfortable with them than the finance. So they share everything. They are personal also. But for us, they are official also, they don't want to share. So this is one of the examples. And finance business partner, rather than selling it as a separate department, create a teamwork. Finance and sales, or finance and the operation team. So the partnership, that is in the essence of partnership, creates. We need to create a bond between them, between us and them. Not easy. It's easy to say, but difficult to implement. That is why it is becoming one of the core 5 challenges. So let's take to the. This is what I mean. There is a lot we can talk about this, but then timing is an essence. Let's take that another one. Some business function, like as I said before, that instead of trying to create a perfect finance partner, create a finance team, finance and business team. Then it can only be achieved by hard reporting line to the business function leads and a dotted line to the finance. I mean, this is the vice versa. Rather than calling it a finance person reporting to the business function, make it reverse order. Let him hard line work there. So he basically administrative reporting to the function and the technical reporting to the finance. It doesn't really matter much for us, but for the people, for the operational team, for the business function, it matters a lot, because they see them as one of them who's coordinating with finance to share the general knowledge of the finance, to gain advantage of the finance collective knowledge and experience and ability, right? Rather than in the reverse order. So the finance person trying to help us. So they create a blockhead in the shell. So they always not feel comfortable sharing everything that they have. So we need to break that shell. And breaking shell I'm not telling that this should happen, but I say if the resistance happens, then this could be one of the way of eliminating or reducing the okay. Now this is the problem. Changing a complete mindset. We talked about that in the beginning. We are talking about changing a mindset, a new mindset. So the finance team usually set up to do, we are changing a mindset of a finance team that is trained, developed, educated for a traditional job, a certain job that we are all doing, to transform them into business partnership. It is not easy. It poses multiple issues like experience ability, so instead of having an experience and ability to explain complex financial principles in straightforward terms and then assimilating the business knowledge and the map back to the numbers. Okay, the role is basically what we are talking about is involved into proactive and the confidence to, and that they have the confidence to challenge poor decision making. So generally the team finance team has accounting background, and they are expert in, they are expected to possess the technical finance skills to do the job, right? And now they are simply lacking, what they're simply lacking is interpersonal skill. That is crucial for this new role. I think we all agree on this point that interpersonal skills are general lacking element in our expertise. Okay? You can meet a person and tell he's a salesman or a finance person, right? That is what I say. There is a gap in the interpersonal skill. So now talk about one more thing. The roles basically involves in proactive and okay. Now we talk about that. So the commercial acumen is what we need. The leadership skills that we need. The team building ability, interpersonal, and the presentation and other soft skills. They all are needed component in the new role. And they need to understand the business and the industry. This requires a lot of skill work, a lot of good communication skills that enable them to do proper and effective job. That goes without saying. So the ability to persuade when business partners challenge senior management. This ability doesn't come just by experience. This ability need to be created, developed into the people. Identify and develop. Identify and develop. We can bring them from outside, but still that is not easy to find. Training and development. Okay, it is basically not easy to, like we keep on telling that it's not easy to develop a finance team to provide the business insight. But at the same time, transformation also cannot be achieved just by finding a new job titles for the people expert in transaction processes. So there is, in some of the companies, two companies at least, which I talk about that, they actually have done this implementation in phase manner. That's why I say step-by-step approach doesn't work. So what they have done, both of them, I talked to their CFOs and then they identify this is as a problem which they couldn't identify in the beginning or they couldn't foresee. So they come up with a step-by-step approach. So step number one, they announce. How do they announce? They change the titles, the roles, they identify people and they say from today or tomorrow, you are the finance partner, these are the new roles, they handed over the job description to them. And then the second step, they wanted to modify their system to give them the tools that is needed for the job. And then the third step, they roll it out to the business functions. It failed in the first step. The reason what we already, A, it was lacking the proper definition. The B is people are expecting them to produce the same routine job that they used to do, and they're also doing the same job because they do not have the clear definition of what they're expecting to do. The other thing is they don't have the tool to produce the thing. So there are a lot of time that is being wasted in manual processing and doing the analysis. They continue wasting. If they don't transfer this whole routine job to the automation, they cannot free up the time. At the end, we have only 8 hours. Next 10, 12. In the worst case scenario, not more than that, right? So what happens if you cannot free up the time from the system? We end up doing the same job that we are doing in the current role. And on top of that, because of the step-by-step approach, the other departments do not see them as value creation, because in the first and third step, it was a time lag, huge time lag, months gone. So months gone, so the other team already know them, they are business partners, but they don't see anything coming to them as a value addition. So by the time they have the new system developed, they are able to create some time in the system, they really go and start offering, the perception was already established. that this is just a change in the name. They do nothing. They do provide nothing what they are already getting. So none of those that I mentioned in the challenges have been taken care of. So the step by step approach kills the whole project.
So basically now here in the finance, okay, the finance partner and whatever in the operation. So what the role of him? He has to give option, decision, or what he has to do. Like if he become a partner. So now for the other department, okay, what he has to do for him? Decision or option?
They don't have to do anything.
Then
Finance business partner has to do things for them. But they need to understand that this finance business partner, what value he will be bringing to him.
okay, what the value is option or decision?
Second,
See, if today I become a partner, okay, with another department, okay, so shall I give a decision, the best decision, then he can select, or I can give him option 1, 2, 3.
okay, now we just talk about change mindset. This mindset coming from the business person, finance person. I say you need to accept 5 options, one of them, right? When we go and review the deal, we say, look guys, this is not working well, crap. You do fix 5 items and bring it back to me, otherwise I'm not accepting.
Exactly.
Okay, exactly this is what happening. Exactly that is not what required. The requirement is that if you see the deal is not properly A, you are the one who making the deal. Okay? It's the other way around. So the finance business partner, if the deal comes, salesman go and negotiate certain thing, and he comes and sit on the table, he bring his finance business partner, look, I have a deal. I met with him, he wants this. What we can do for him? Now you create a deal. The best deal that satisfy both the corporate objectives and his objectives. And make the customer happy as well. How do you come up? That you can do it. You have the skills. You're just not looking at this aspect. Okay? This is what required. That is why they say change in the mindset. So mindset will change. Your approach will be different. You can do it. But right now you are not looking at this aspect of the business because you're sitting in a finance. You call yourself finance person. You're not a finance business partner. So once you're a finance business partner, you sit with him, you will make the deal for him. Better than what he's doing. Because he look at his own area, isolation.
Yeah.
I need to please the customer, that's how I get the business. That's
Okay,
it.
I'm looking at the benefit.
Now you come with a two-way approach. You know the function of business and what customer wants, what my salesman want, and at the same time you know the finance. You know what the company wants also. What is the company objective? You combine the two together, come up with a better deal, which is a win-win case for both of them. This mindset change will happen. You can do it because you are trained to do this. But because all the time your experience is different. You sitting on the finance, telling people what to do, rather than helping them how to do. You got it? Okay, so that's a mindset change. This is what happened, that is what required training and development. So what I'm trying to say here, that when we say the change mindset of the team, what is actually required? All these. Let me briefly summarize this whole thing. Time and investment in training the team who are expected to become the most valuable business function is mandatory. So it's needless to say for me that they are not only getting paid probably more, but at the same time it's not easy to recruit if I'm trying to get from outside. Okay? Because I'm trying to get somebody who is highly valued within the organization and he himself believes that he is highly valued. So it's not easy to get at the given cost. So it's always highly paid or more paid than the normal. And once you recruit, then retaining them also become a complex issue. So it's a constant development has to happen. At the same time, we can develop our own team to fit in this role. So the organization has to take a careful approach of what they are doing, maybe a hybrid between the two, some hire, some develop. Then it may work. Okay, so once we identify and recruit the right talent and then train to perform the job, the finance business partner must take responsibility of their own training. Okay, maintenance of their own skills. So they need to know what they will be needing. They keep on developing themselves. In order to keep up the pace of changing business requirement, an ongoing development plan should be established. Okay, to keep the pace of the business changes. So what happening? There are certain soft skills that is needed, like listening skill, communication skill. We don't listen, right? We just tell. So we need to develop listening skill, communication skill, decision making skill, negotiation skill. These are all non-finance skills. Simple. And these are mandatory to be developed within those teams who are trying to be part of the finance business function. On top of that, the more flexible and transparent career path will not only keep the team motivated, but also help them developing the required expertise, because they know what they are expected and then what they are doing, what is their career path. So some organizations have flatter organization structure, like me, very flat. In this case, a job rotation, talent development programs, they help keep the team motivated to the desired level. Okay, so in short, I can say that the organization must strike a balance between recruiting the new staff and developing the existing team to fit into the role. Probably a hybrid. This is a hybrid, but we need to strike a balance in this. Okay, next, and probably the last. Performance measure. The overcoming the changing economies. So we talk about the definition, we talk about the training development, we talk about the right skills and blah blah. At the end, we talk about the performance measurement. That also is a challenging part of that. So what happens in the performance measurement process enables the management to ensure if the support level is meeting the requirements and expectations of the business. Oh, sorry. What is this?
I'm fixing.
Okay. Why you do that?
You have that.
No, really? Okay. So, what I was telling that this performance measurement process, this helps the management to ensure if the support level is coming up to the requirement and expectation of the business, and at the same time is determining the need of additional value in the as the business environment changes. Okay, so that is a necessary part of that, but it comes in the later stage. But once it is the implementation complete, it become a part and parcel of the whole program. It become a routine, a regular process. So what happened that the performance measurement process constantly update the service levels and it adjusts the expected outcome, especially during the major changes in the external economies. So the travel not happening, one country is being bombed, now the war happened in some area, right? Bomb blast happened, the market closed. These kind of environment, if changes happen, then there is a immediate reaction has to happen within the organization to adjust ourselves. If the change outside economy is permanent or long lasting, then the expectation from the business partnership also changes. Their performance measurement become a different, they take a different measure. Okay. The business partner helps the organization foresee and taking counter proactive measures, right? Or protective measure, you can say. And sometimes identifying and helping gaining the advantage of the situation. So, customer satisfaction, profitability, liquidity, cash forecasting, these are all different protective measures for the organization, and then also become part and parcel of the performance measurement of the business partners. There are a lot more to say, but I think the time is running out and I must stop here. And this is too much to absorb also, right? So let's say that this is now our first training session on this new concept in our organization. So when we say new concept, maybe not outside, but within ourselves. So within ourselves means the finance team, and then in the next step we are taking it to outside of the finance team also. So there will be multiple sessions in which we keep on propagating the concept. Once I tell you that we will have another meeting, then we go into the more detail of that. Now we just talk about, like I said, we just talk about the concept. We just talk about what is the expectation in this role, what challenges come, and what are the implementation process and challenges, what are the fundamentals. We understand the whole concept in a broader perspective with more detailed information. The next step we talk about is specifically what we are doing within our company, what we want, tailor-made this whole thing for us. And then we talk about more in detail, right? So one thing I assure that unless we agree within ourselves, this project is not going to roll out. You get it? That is the fundamental of the success of this whole plan. Clearly defining our job, ourselves. Clearly defining the roles. Clearly defining the next steps. Once we agree, then the other teams will agree. Then we start advertising, then we start creating a networking, then we start selling the idea. So the first step is selling within ourselves. When a successful sale happens, we close this, then we go outside and start selling. Unless we completely sell them the idea and everybody excited and everybody encouraged and everybody recognize the value that this new function will add them, we not go to the third step. So once the second step successfully completed, then we go to third step. Third step is implementation. So we will define the implementation steps. We define the whole how we are going to do within our, especially focusing in our own organization. And then we stop. Because that will generate resource issues. That will generate who do what. That will generate training gaps. We identify training gaps, we identify the resource gaps issues, and we take it to the senior management. If you want this value addition, you need to give me this. Nothing comes free. There is a cost to everything. If the management agrees on these, we implement. If management doesn't agree on these, we say, we wait till you agree. Okay? Because without that, look, we already, not only we, you go in any country, in any company, there is no department you can say that they have the idle people or the people non-performing, maybe less performing because of their own internal incapabilities. But you cannot say that somebody is sitting and have no job. The government is exempted from this statement. They usually do. But the private organization generally not. Everybody is full 100%, at least 98. So if you create a more work for them, that will be a disaster, right? So not going to do that. So the first step of the third step is that we first reorganize ourselves, see how we can create more space, time, and resources within ourselves that can absorb this workload. And what is the overflowing? We recruit. You got it? Any questions, sir?
Yeah, let me become the internal challenge.
Yeah, of course.
So, in any change process, the department that will face the change will obviously start with the question, what is in it for me, for the team? Azim, maybe I'm in a comfortable